My vivid memory would probably have to be whenever I first shot a whitetail deer. Uh, it all started at was probably about like 3 years old, and my dad started taking me deer hunting, and I loved going with him. We'd wake up about 4 or 5 a.m. and we'd get out there and we'd just sit in the cold. It'd be like 15, 20 degrees, freezing. Sometimes it'd be snowing, and I just fell in love with it. And I never had a chance to kill my own deer. And so the first weekend of youth season, I believe, 9 years old, and I just got a gun for my past birthday, and I was gonna go out to kill a deer of my own. And so I vividly remember waking up. I remember my dad telling me it's time to get up, and walking into the kitchen to a bunch of breakfast with sausage, eggs, milk, and I just vividly remembered all of that. And then I remember going outside and starting the four-wheelers up, and it was super cold and you could see your breath. And I could remember all my family was up, and they were all getting ready to go out, and we were all watching them go out one by one. And we hopped on our four-wheeler and we drove off pretty much into the woods. It was pitch dark, and it was a little scary for me because I was a little bitty. And I remember getting to our spot, and we were walking through the woods to get to our stand, and I remember climbing up in the stand and sitting there and watching the sun slowly crawl over the trees and basically lighten up the whole field slowly. And I remember watching as a small buck walked into the field about 30 minutes into our hunt. My heart started pounding, and I started getting super excited and shaky. And I remember my dad telling me just to be calm. And as all my attention was toward that one deer, a much larger buck appeared basically right behind him. And I didn't even notice that he was there for a while. And once I noticed, I started to shake even more. It's something called buck fever that you get whenever a bigger deer appears, and you start shaking and you start breathing real big. And I remember watching him eat for a while, and then he started to come towards me. And that's when I saw my dad grab my gun and give it to me and put it through the little shooting hole that we had made there. And I remember him stopping the deer about 20, 30 yards away, and took a few deep breaths and pulled the trigger, and basically just smoke filled the air, and I kind of saw the deer running off into the woods. And after that, I called all of my grandparents and my family, telling them that I shot my first deer. And we basically just jumped out of the stand almost immediately and started looking for blood, basically tracking to see where the deer ran to. And I remember finding the deer, and I ran up and jumped on it because I was so excited. And my granddaddy and 3 of my cousins and my uncle and my dad were all there watching me. And it was probably one of the best experiences of my life. And since then, I've been hooked to deer hunting ever since. Haven't been able to get enough of it. And it's also been an accomplishment in my life that helped me take a step forward, and just to try new things and to do hard things like going out in the woods when it's 10, 15 degrees or when it's snowing and you can barely feel your feet.